Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you've been enjoying the stories. I'm out here outside doing a little recording today. I thought that might be a nice change. You can hear the construction that we had to deal with the other day is gone, it being a Saturday and all. We've got some birds out here singing, so we know life is going pretty good right now. So just wanted to check in, give you another story, and double check. Remember what we're doing, keeping our hands clean, we're keeping our distance, and we're not touching our face until all this is over and we all get to go back to school. So remember that's very important, and to listen and do what the grown-ups are telling you to do, because they nothing to really be scared of. It's just they're trying to keep us all safe. All right, now see, I touch my face even after I've said not to do that. Okay, how about another Brer Rabbit tale? You know, interesting enough, Brer Rabbit, a lot of people I've gotten some messages from some of you guys wanting to know why it's Brer Rabbit. Well, Brer, quite some time ago in the South, actually stood for brother. So it's kind of Brother Rabbit, okay? The noise you hear, that's Tiger the cat. He's on the deck, and he's happy because the dog's not here. And he's purring very, very loud to make sure that I know he's here. So we've got a good story. Got my glass of milk, and we're going to listen to some Brer Rabbit. It was fall, and the trees were full of fruit, and the bushes were full of berries. Oh. Now, as usual, Brer Rabbit was being nosy. So when he saw some of the other animals chatting, he made sure he could overhear them. Well, that's not very polite, isn't it? Have you seen the berries on the bush by Brer Bear's house? Said Sister Goose. Oh, I've heard they're the biggest berries you ever see, said Brer Raccoon. Well, I've heard they're the sweetest berries you ever taste, said Sister Squirrel. I've heard no one knows how good they are because Brer Bear won't let anybody near his bushes, said Sister Sparrow. Oh, Brer Rabbit was thinking to himself, and he says, I must get a taste of those berries, said Brer Rabbit to himself. I think I'll go and try some now. So off he hopped, going down the trail to Brer Bear's house. Just as he rounded the corner, Brer Rabbit couldn't believe his eyes. Oh my, he said. Brer Raccoon was right. They are the biggest berries I've ever seen. I wonder if they're the sweetest. Deciding to find out, Brer Rabbit looked around. No Brer Bear around here to stop me. Picking a couple of berries for myself, he said, but just as his paw reached out for one of those juicy berries, but just as his paw touched one of the juicy, shiny red berries, he felt a warm breath on the back of his neck. And what do you think you're doing, picking berries from my bush? Said Brer Bear, towering over Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit froze for a moment and gulped. Taking a long, deep breath, he slowly turned, smiled, and looked up at Brer Bear. My good friend, I was just going to taste one of these lovely berries. I've heard so much about them. Said Brer Bear, placing his paws on his hips. So, you think I've kept my berries safe from the frost during the spring, kept the insects away all summer, and the birds this fall just for you and everyone else to eat, do you? Well, I'm sorry, said Brer Rabbit. I didn't know it was your bush. Well, it is, said Brer Bear firmly, and I have no intention of sharing them with anyone. Oh, I do understand, said Brer Rabbit. Please forgive me. Brer Rabbit then hopped out of harm's way as quickly as he could. He knew it was never wise to make Brer angry. He was known for having a very big roar and a very big paw, which could flatten a small rabbit with one swipe. On his way home, Brer thought about how he could get to taste some of them tasty berries. Just as he turned the handle on his front door, he smiled and said to himself, "You're such a clever rabbit." He says that a lot about himself. I'm sure with a little help from one of my friends, a tin of dried peas and some grass, I'll be able to trick that bear out of some of his berries. The next morning, Brer began to put his plan into action by visiting Sister Goose. As usual, Brer found Sister Goose covered in soapsuds and washing clothes on the rocks by the river. "Hello there," shouted Brer. "How are you this fine day?" Well, Sister Goose flicked the soapsuds off her wings and smiled and says, "Hello," she said. "What brings you to my part of the river?" "Well, I'm here to ask for your help," replied Brer. Now, Sister Goose knew Brer. She smiled and said, "After saving me from Brer Fox, how could I say no? What do you want me to do?" "Oh, just a simple little thing. This afternoon I need you to hide in the long grass down by Bear's house. When you see me drop my handkerchief, I need you to rattle this tin and rustle the long grass leaves." Sister Goose smiled and said, "You're up to your old tricks again, aren't you?" she said, looking at him a little sideways. Brer laughed. "Well, you know me too well, my friend." Sister Goose took the tin full of beans, and Brer left her to her washing. A little later, Sister Goose was hidden in the long grass holding the tin. As she peeked out, she saw Brer coming out of the house carrying a small bowl. Soon the Brer was counting, "One for me and one for the bowl." Just then Sister Goose saw Brer hopping along the small brush carrying a long piece of rope, pretending to be in a very big hurry. Brer bumped into Brer, knocking the bowl of juicy ripe berries out of his paws. "Whoa!" shouted Brer. "I'm so sorry," said Brer. "I've heard a strange storm is coming, and it's blowing everything away." Brer laughed and said, "I haven't heard a thing about a storm." "Haven't you?" said Brer. I heard it's ripping up fences and flattening trees and pulling up bushes." Brer looked up. "There's not a cloud in the sky." "Oh, it's on its way," said Brer. "I'm off to tie everything down at my place, then I'm going to hide in my burrow." "But," said Brer, looking a little bit confused. Just then Brer pulled out his red spotted handkerchief, wiped his face, and then acted like he accidentally dropped it on the ground. Sister Goose saw this and started to rattle the tin and shake the long grass as hard as she could. "Oh no, hear that," said Brer. "The storm is getting near. I must go, and you should too." "But if I leave my bush, everyone will take my berries," Brer said. Well, Brer thought a minute, looked around, and said, "I know, I could tie you to that tree," said Brer, pointing to the large oak tree by the side of the bush. "Then no one will dare eat your berries because you'll still be here." "What a good idea," said Brer. "Quickly then," said Brer. "I have my own things to tie down and see to." Brer walked over the tree and put his back against it, and Brer took the end of the rope and tied it around Bear's feet. He then hopped around and around, winding the rope around Brer. "Not so tight," said Brer, complaining. "I can hardly breathe." "Oh, it has to be tight, otherwise you'll just get blown away," said Brer, as he tied the other end of the rope into the biggest knot he could find. The cat's going crazy again. Brer hopped back and looked at Brer. And Brer looked back at Brer. "Why are you smiling?" asked Brer. Brer picked up the small bowl Brer had dropped and hopped over to the bush. Constantly being eyed by Brer, "What are you doing?" growled Brer, wiggling and trying to get free. Brer Rabbit just simply said, "One for me, one for the bowl." And Brer Rabbit popped a juicy berry into his mouth and said, "Oh my, everyone was right. These are the biggest, juiciest, sweetest berries I've ever eaten." The end of that Brer Rabbit story. Well, what do you think about that? Was he being kind of mean in how he was treating Brer? Yeah, he was kind of stealing, wasn't he? He was taking stuff that didn't belong to him. We all know that's not right. So, remember, that's it for this story, but remember, wash those hands, keep your distance, don't touch your faces, and I'll be back a little bit later with another story for you guys. So, listen to Mom and Dad, listen to Granddaddy and Grandma, uncles and aunts and cousins, and the grown-ups. They're just all trying to protect us. Don't be scared. Everything's going to work out. And I'll see you guys later.